Hello and welcome to the City of Cedar Falls Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, July 26, 2023. I call the meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Alberhaski. Here. Chrisman.
Here.
Grebovich.
Here.
Hartley.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Leeper.
Here.
Lynch. Moser. Here. Stallnaker. 2 absent.
All right, thank you. We do have a quorum. First agenda item is approval of minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion for approval or any comments?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say same sign, which that goes into record. So this part of the meeting is for public comment for anything that is not on the agenda tonight. So if anyone has anything they would like to discuss that's not on the agenda, I see no one coming to the table. So we will move on to old business.
I have a request
Okay.
to rearrange the agenda. I have a direct conflict with item 4 and a perceived conflict with item 2 and 3. And I was wondering if we could go into the zoning text amendment first.
Up to the commission. On
Is
how they
that
proceed.
okay with everyone on the commission? Do
Sounds
we need
good.
to have-
Makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right, we're going
Thank
to
you.
move to new business, item 5, correct, Kyle?
Correct.
Okay, zoning code text amendment on street parking as shared parking. And JD?
I'm going to do that. Oh, let's see. Get to the right slides here. Okay, this is zoning code text amendment. This is related to the allowance for on-street parking to count toward the shared parking requirement in the downtown area. This is a petition from the city council. They have requested that you consider eliminating the zoning code provision that allows on-street parking to count toward the shared parking requirement for any new development on a property. Just a little background on that. In the downtown character district, as you may recall, for any new building proposed that contains residential dwelling units or upper floor commercial uses, a certain number of shared parking spaces must be provided. The shared parking spaces are in addition to the required parking spaces for the project. The shared parking is really intended to provide a small amount of publicly available parking in the downtown area for visitors and customers to use in locations where public parking is in short supply. So that's the intent of that small shared parking requirement. And that's, just to remember, that's in addition to the required parking that the project has to provide for the tenants of the building and the commercial spaces in the building. So the ordinance for shared parking provides flexibility on how the shared parking requirement is satisfied. So it can be provided in the following ways. It can either be provided on the site or on another private property located within 600 feet walking distance of the project site. That's about 2 blocks in the downtown area. And that, if they have it on a separate site, they come to an agreement with a separate property owner to provide the parking. Say that property owner is extra parking and they say, hey, I need 5 spaces to satisfy my shared parking requirement. Can we come to an agreement? And they come into a binding agreement that the shared parking would be provided on that site. So that's how that would occur. A third allowance is any on-street parking that directly abuts the development site can count toward the shared parking requirement. Now, the allowance to count the on-street parking was to mirror what we had done previously in the old code in the downtown area. There was a visitor parking requirement for multifamily development. If there were residential units in a building, they had to provide so many visitor parking spaces. And previously in the old code, you could count the on-street parking toward that visitor parking requirement, with the understanding that the on-street parking is intended for visitors and customers, and if there was already some available there, they didn't have to provide any extra on the site. That was, so in the new code, tried to mirror that allowance in the new code, and that's why that on-street parking requirement is in the code. The flexibility provided for the shared parking is really intended to help reduce the burden or the cost of making of the developer providing this contribution to the supply of publicly available parking in the downtown area. We don't want that requirement to become so onerous that it prevents development from occurring in the downtown area. So just built in a little bit of flexibility in the code for that. So that's kind of the background of the shared parking requirements and how that flexibility was built into the council has requested that the commission consider eliminating the allowance to count the on-street parking toward the shared parking requirement. So staff requests direction from the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding the council's petition to eliminate that allowance, and then consider setting a date of public hearing for your next meeting on August 9th.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on this item? Okay, I'll bring it back to commission. Any discussion on this? I am assuming we need a motion to set the public hearing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, any discussion? Motion?
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing on August 9th.
Second.
We have a motion, a second to set the public hearing for August 9th. All those in favor, or is it a roll call vote or voice vote?
Just voice vote is fine.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign? All right,
Nay.
that, did you say nay? Okay, there's one opposition. All right, that will move forward and be on the August 9th meeting.
I'm going to recuse from items 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
All right, now back to the,
Sorry, I also need to recuse myself from items 2 and 3 due to
Okay.
conflict of interest.
okay, all right, sounds good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we still have a quorum. All right, so going back to old business, we have the RP Master Plan Amendment for Autumn Ridge Development that we've been discussing here for a while. And JD has this, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, good evening, everyone. Yes, this is the case for amendment of RP Master Plan for Autumn Ridge Development. As you mentioned, we have been discussing this for last 3 meetings now. So I'm not going to go into all the details, but just highlighting what we were at. So the RP Master Plan amendment proposed is for the Autumn Ridge development, which is on the which is along the Union Road and south of Westwood Street. This is the proposed master plan, which is to add 90 units in 2 different phases, 9th and 11th edition, which includes both bi-attached units and single-family units and an acre of park space. So this is the proposed master plan. At our last meeting at June 28, there were 3 recommendations that staff brought forward. One was regarding the existing stormwater basin, and we were trying to identify what the basin currently is, how it is functioning. We would want to know those. We want to know, based on current topography, what the existing stormwater basin is staying at, and to verify that with the Track A of Autumn Ridge 5th, and also to see if there is a need in increase in capacity to reduce the risk of encroachment. So those were some of the stormwater concerns that staff was recommending the developer and its engineer to look at. The other was the park space. It was to relocate to more centralized location for better safety, accessibility, and usability of park space, and also increase the park space to 2 acre, aligning with the original master plan, and then trimming down the lot sizes and providing more usable yard space for single family units along Aronia Drive. That was the third recommendation. At that meeting, most of the commissioners did agree with this findings from the staff, and thereafter it was the developer, and that's it, that we're going to bring this back to this meeting on July 26th. However, I'd like to note that the developer, at the request of the developer, they are still working on those recommendations that were made by Planning and Zoning Commission and staff, and they have requested that we defer this discussion to September 13th meeting. That way they get more time to develop things and address staff's recommendation and any direction from Planning and Zoning Commission. So this meeting is only for discussion and any other directions you may have for the developer or its engineer at this point of time. Developer's engineer is here. If you have any questions, I'll be able to answer any questions for this proposed development from my side. And I have also forwarded you on your desk, there are 3 public correspondence that we received at the very last moment. This was this late afternoon. So I did not get a chance to send you all email, but I did share that with you just for your consideration. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Are we talking both items 2 and 3 together, since it's the master plan and the preliminary plat?
Yes.
So we'll just have one conversation, so we don't need to bring it back up for item 3?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so is there anyone here from the public that would like to address this, or these 2 agenda items? I appreciate you guys all showing up. Thank you very much. Well, can the developer come up, or someone representing the petitioner?
Sure. Adam Dater, CJ Engineers, 5106 Nordic Drive in Cedar Falls. As JD mentioned, the developer is still considering the comments at the last meeting and is still evaluating some options, so we don't have anything new to present tonight. But I'm here for any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. So does anyone from the public like to come up and speak? We appreciate...
Can I ask a question first?
Yes.
So we have provided some recommendations for the contractor. We've heard through a lot of the comments already about the existing plan. Is it possible to defer discussion until we see the new plan moving forward? Now, not that I want to stifle any comments here or, understand that I want to hear you. It's just a matter of, I feel like we're going to be rehashing the same comments when we haven't seen the new plan yet.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the premise behind that, and yes. But I don't also want to stop anyone that showed up that wanted to speak tonight to speak, so.
I'd say we've had a lot of public comments. If
Yeah.
there's something new, that we'd be happy to hear it. If we think it's relevant now, or we can wait until the next session.
Follow-up question. Is there a time limit on when we're anticipating we're going to see these new plans, or how many times can they defer to the next meeting?
I don't know if there's a definitive limit to that, but I think that's why we asked them to give us a realistic date for them to provide this additional information, and that is the date that they gave us. So we wanted to make sure that the public was aware of a date certain when you would defer, that it wouldn't just be indefinitely, that it would be a date certain, so that everybody that's here and that everybody knows when the next meeting will be held to talk about this item. But I do believe, because at the last meeting, it was deferred until this meeting, that the public was aware that it should be deferred till now. So I feel like, because people were given notice that they're here to give public comments. So I feel like because it was deferred to this date certain, that we need to hear what the public has to say.
Understood. Yep.
And if they defer again, is there any consequence, or is there any action that we would take on that?
That is really up for the commission to decide when you want to make a decision about the case. And you can give direction to the developer on what your expectations are, but that's really up for the commission to discuss and decide.
Okay, thank you. Any more commission comments? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak some new information? Happy to let you come up and speak. name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Cindy Lechtenberg at 4322 West First Street in Cedar Falls. I always seem to be the first one. I'm going to read, I was probably one of the late emails that you guys got, and I'm just going to kind of read it out to you so that it can be publicly noticed. First of all, I would like to thank P&Z Committee and City staff for the ongoing presentations and discussions. I'm grateful that the original approved master plan and the 2013 plans have been presented at the meetings to show the extreme difference in the newest proposed plan. I was encouraged when Maria Perez took our concerns seriously and came out to see what we've been talking about regarding the negligence of maintenance to the waterway. I was pleased to hear she is requiring that the waterway be cleaned up and made so that it can be maintained in the future before any new development permits are allowed. I feel this waterway issue is again an example of B&K's apparent lack of concern for the residents and how these decisions are affecting so many people around this area. I was also thankful that the city staff has recommended the elimination of some lots on Aronia Drive due to the extreme density and small lot sizes. However, I feel, as others do, that the development needs to simply go back to what was promised to so many people. I feel not only are the lots on Aronia Drive extremely inadequate, but the majority of the lots in this entire development are simply too small, causing extreme density, as previously stated by so many. The duplexes proposed for many of the lots are nothing what families in this area were told would be built. Everything about this proposed plan seems to have nothing to do with what so many were promised, nor will it improve the lives of those who already purchased lots and built homes in this area with the sheer density and types of homes being proposed. Per the June 28th meeting, Brian Hoppel stated that the duplexes they are proposing would start at $425,000. My understanding is that the intent of building this type of housing on small lots was to provide affordable housing. I am therefore questioning what exactly is considered affordable housing, because to me, $425,000 is not affordable. So my next question is, why are we allowing B&KD to build something that is totally different than what was told to all the previous lot and home buyers who bought their properties with the understanding that the last 22 acres were going to be the same size and of lots and types of homes already built in and around Autumn Ridge? My next concern is that Brian Hoppel said, as you are well aware, you cannot simply buy a property and turn it into a rental property. And I'm quoting what he said, property in Cedar Falls, excuse me. However, our understanding is that there's already a rental property within Autumn Ridge on Shocker Road, which is owned by Wallace Investment Group, LLC. My concern, along with many others, is that these duplexes, if allowed to be built, will definitely become rental properties. So my question to Mr. Hoppel is, will you put into your deed of dedication that these duplexes must be owner-occupied only? My other concern is that many of the single-family lots will eventually become duplexes as well, or more rental property due to their small sizes. Another item I wanted to bring up is that at the last meeting, it was suggested that the residents and the developer meet and have a discussion so that we could come up with something that would benefit everyone. So taking the advice of P&Z, I reached out to the residents as well as Mr. Hoppel to have such a meeting. I also had wanted to invite both the P&Z committee members and the city council members to this meeting. Unfortunately, it was brought to our attention that it would be in everyone's best interest to only have public meetings, such as the P&Z meeting, due to ex parte rules. The lack of confidence in how effective this meeting would be due to trust issues from past experiences with BNKD was also a concern for many people. So I ended up having to cancel the meeting. We therefore are asking again that the P&Z committee to please look at all the objections and concerns that so many people have continued to bring up and ask yourselves if you can honestly let this developer continue with this plan that so many are against. Will you please defend those who have already made their homes in Cedar Falls because of what they were promised by the developer? We're hoping you're more concerned about the current families in and around this development and will simply tell the developer he must stick to the 2013 plan of 57 single-family lots that was promoted to all the others who bought into this area. Because if the master plan can be changed so drastically and approved, what is the point of even having a master plan that people are presented with? And that's my final statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have something new to come up and speak to the commission? Okay, thank you. I will bring it back to commission for any discussion. I think we're just ready to move this to the 13th. Okay. Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah, please.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to move it to September 13 meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That will move on to the September 13 meeting. Thank you. All right, that concludes the old business. Now for new business, we have one item left. It's a preliminary plat for Ashworth North Subdivision.
Thank you. Good evening, Commission. My name is Tom Weintraut, and I will present this. This is a request to approve a preliminary plat for Ashford North Subdivision. You're all familiar with this site. This is along the west side of Hudson Road. Earlier this year in May, Council approved a rezoning of the property to R1 to allow for residential development, as well as, I keep pressing the wrong button, I wonder. Okay. And the location, as you can see on the screen, it's on the west side of Hudson Road. Along with the rezoning, they approved a vacation of about 1,700 square feet of right-of-way along the west side of Hudson Road that will be anticipated to be incorporated into this preliminary plat and eventually a final plat. They will be holding, they approved a purchase agreement for that 1,700 square foot tract, and are currently the closing documents are being prepared by engineering. Once it's conveyed to the city, it will become part of that plat, and then they're also going to, the council will conduct a public hearing on August 21st to determine whether to convey the right-of-way that has been vacated. So it's been a long process. On the screen, you'll see a copy of the preliminary plat with the road. And this is a sort of a different process because the city is putting in the road and the infrastructure. So this plat is primarily for creating the lots. There is a concern about the drainage, so the city engineer requests that the drainage be directed to drainage easement on the north that is shown, and then down to the Hudson Road where it'll go into either storm sewers or a storm system. The other item that the developer will be doing as the lots are developed on a lot-by-lot basis is installing the sidewalks along the frontage. As I stated, typically a preliminary plat would allow the applicant to proceed with construction and installation of the required public infrastructure, but because of that, it's being installed by the city. The only improvements the developer, again, will need to make is the sidewalk. And so in this situation, the development, the subdivision the final plating can't take place until later in the year when the construction of the roadway is complete and the utilities. So no new sales or construction may begin. There were a few technical comments. The city engineer would like to see all the lots, see the site graded at one time before any lots are sold, and this is to ensure that the stormwater is directed to the drainage easement to the north and then over to Hudson Road. And so once that has been completed and inspected, then they'll be able to start selling the lots if the final plat has been approved. And then the second one, Cedar Falls Utility states that there are the utilities that are necessary to provide service. However, there will need to be an easement, which will be shown on the plat, or is shown on the plat, installed as part of the Ashworth property. And that easement will be there for some existing utilities along Hudson Road. Staff recommends that the preliminary plat most of the comments have been addressed, and the other ones are very minor, so we would recommend approval to any comments from the commission directed to staff, and any that all conformances to the technical review comments are met.
Okay, thank you very much. Is the petitioner here and like to speak to this item? I see none. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this item? Okay, I will bring it back to the commission for discussion.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Discussion or a motion?
I would move to approve based on city staff approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, is this a roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Alberhaski,
Aye.
Chrisman,
Aye.
Grubevich,
Aye.
Hartley,
Aye.
Leeper,
Aye.
Moser,
Aye.
all voting aye.
All right, thank you. That will move on to council. And that does end everything on the agenda item. So is there any commission updates?
I don't have anything for you
No
tonight.
commission updates. I would
Move
entertain.
to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight.